Good morning and welcome to my live stream. You have found Fight CPS with your host, Bob Pace, and hang on to our children. I'm so glad that you joined me this morning. It's June 8th, Sunday, and it's always a new day, a new beginning. My day starts at 4 a.m. in the morning at what I call the dawn patrol. I broadcasting this for the west coast of California, a place called Surf City, USA, 3 blocks from the ocean. I'm a water person. I love the ocean. The ocean's been all my life. And I unfortunately had the most horrible experience of being involved with an entity that I call the Child Protection System, CPS. This child protection system has many different names, but every county in every state has a government entity that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. And if it's necessary and they need to break apart the family, their goal is reunification with the family. But unfortunately, some of the CPSs have turned rogue. What I mean by that, they're so awful that they retaliate, they lie, they misuse the government funding. There's no accountability of them. A lot of them don't even have high school education. A lot of them have never experienced what a family's like, or their background, or their training. And unfortunately, the 1,900 people plus that I've talked to in the last 20 months have demonstrated that. I too was a victim, very bad victim. My children were trafficking, which is illegal. They were alienated from their parents. In fact, one was stolen. Stolen and then convinced she'll never come back to our family. And that is sad. There's nothing wrong with my family. And a lot of you, the 1,900, have said the same thing. The one thing we seem to have in common is our income. That's the thing that I can analyze over these 20 months since October 2023 I started, where I do this live stream twice a day, 7 days a week. I'm on every night at 7 p.m. And then during the weekdays, Monday through Friday, I'm on at 10 a.m. as well as the evening time. And then on the weekend, like today, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm on at 8 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Those are my typical show times. The times there to help you all twice a day, 7 days a week. I've been doing this continuously. I've not missed a day yet. I've had some glitches along the way where I've had to adjust the time, but I've done here and I've been here doing this. I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father and a husband and help raise 6 children. I have 42 years of marriage experience. And I too, just like you own, have lost my children. I had to sell my forever home that I worked 45 years for to get. It started with me in 2010 involved with CPS. Now, the Child Protection System is a government entity that was created in 1962 by Congress, which mandated that social service create a group of social workers to protect our children from neglect and abuse. Now, the welfare system or the welfare of our children is documented the last 400 years. And it wasn't until 62 when they organized a government entity to protect our children. But now this government entity has gone too far, and a lot of them are not protecting our children. They're abusing our families, abusing the parents, and abusing the children through foster care. A lot of foster care families are corrupt. There's 4.2 million cases of suspected child abuse and child neglect. Of the 4.2 this last year, 2 million of them were false. 2 million. That's 50%. And all these reports were done by the professional mandated reporter, which are people that are trained and work with children, and they're trained in how to recognize neglect and abuse and how to report it. These are the professionals, your doctors, your nurses, your teachers, your principals, your counselors, your police, your fire, anybody that works with children. Now, that's one group of reporters. The other group are what we call the lay people, the people like your family, your friends, your acquaintances, the neighborhood, at the store, everyday people. Now, I don't have statistics of that or have found it yet. But I know that 75% of them are false. The sad thing about it is that when abuse is suspected of neglect, abuse or neglect, CPS must within 24 hours investigate it. But a lot of the investigations is Gestapo type thing. I don't know if any of you remember World War II, but there was a government entity that would take people from their homes, and it was the Jews that are being persecuted. They still are today. It's a sad group of individuals. We're in a very complex world. And I know that most of you are sad because you can't spend a birthday with your child or see your child, spend a Christmas or whatever, or some of you haven't seen your children for months or years. It's wrong. Now, I've made quite a group of followers, between 30 and 50 people that follow me daily. And I really appreciate the input. They come here to help one another and help each other. And they're what I call a family. Now, this is a really hard thing to talk about day after day, the same things, day after day, day after day. Okay, we're still waiting for people to come into the room. And one of the things this room is noted, it's an interactive room, meaning that things you can do in here. So if you have a message that you want to convey, make it a comment or a question and it should pertain to CPS. Please state your first name, your city or county, the state, and if you're from outside the United States, your country. Yes, I do have people from outside. We have 23 countries that have either called in or um, texted a message. Now, of that group of individuals, the 22 countries are Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, then up to the Middle East, we have Saudi Arabia and Libya. Then over to Africa, we have Liberia, Sudan, Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Mozambique, and South Africa. Then up to Europe, we got England, Scotland, and Wales, Denmark, and Sweden. Then across the pond in North America, we got Canada and the United States. And I want to say all 50 states have called in, including Washington, D.C. Then south the border to Mexico, then down to South America, to a country north of Brazil on the east coast, Grenada, then over the South Pacific to Australia, and then the land down under, well, that was Australia. I forgot New Zealand. It's New Zealand and the land down under Australia. Anyway, every one of those parents that have called in or text a message in have been very sincere about their case. Gentlemen from Liberia that would call in regularly and talk about his country and how he did work in the scouting organization. The scouting organization has now boys and girls together. It used to be called the Boy Scouts, but now it's just called scouting. And he would talk about issues about the child protection system. And he'd share with us and things like that. Then there's a lady in South Africa, Leica, who was so beaten up and so abused in one of her tribes. You see, it's very interesting with CPS. Now, I have the calls in or the messages, the text messages, and people have all different ways of life. But one thing they all have in common is they love their families. You guys are about family, and family is very important. But when you have bad agencies that turn against you, uh, it's hard. The one thing you guys have all in common around the world and around here is you guys are low income. It's not a crime to be low income. You're going to have different classes of people. Now, in third world countries, we only have the poor and the rich. And sometimes I wonder if the United States is becoming a third world country, not because of its strength in government or its strength in military, it's because of its classes of people. It's really terrible. There's a country called Rwanda near Lake Victoria in Africa that had a civil war in 1994. That's not too long ago. That's not too long ago. That's about 11 years ago. If you think about it, or maybe 21, I'm sorry, it's 21 years ago. Wait a second. 94, there's 6, 10 is 16, 17 years ago. And 1 million people were murdered. And over 500,000 women were raped by men infected with AIDS. That was a horrible, horrible thing. And it wasn't because of color. It wasn't because of religion. It wasn't because of government. It was because of class of people. You had the farmers. And doing farming is not necessarily a high income occupation. And then you got the city folks, the high end folks. And whatever reason, they just wanted only one class of people. But anyway, that's another example. There are a lot of unrest in Africa, Republic of Congo, Nigeria. I go on, but we're here to talk about CPS. Well, it affects our children and how our children are taken care of. It's terrible what's happened to a lot of different people, including the Jews in Israel, when they had to endure the horrible, horrible time where children were, that was terrible. And yes, it's terrible that the country had to fight back in order to suppress the idiots, these people that call themselves whatever names they are, the terrorists of the world. And they're all over the place. Just yesterday in our own little world of California, a group of individuals were protesting the government trying to clean up the mistakes of the past government. Riots. We had people waving the flags of another country. We had the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles do nothing. Our federal government had to intervene and put out the National Guard to suppress it. The LA County sheriffs were trying to do something to protect it. But when you look at the pictures of people, there are children in the crowds. That is the message that we're conveying. Now, we're talking about immigration, and that is really a hard one. Our social service has been so taxed by giving everybody food and shelter and clothing and education and medical and transportation and even a job. If you're from another country, it's great to come here. That's why people come here. It's the number one destination of people of the world. Why? Why do they want to come here? Well, they hear it's a full-on democracy where people can say something about one another and they can even riot, which I don't think people should do that. They're given a job starting in California at $22 an hour at McDonald's. It's advertised on the window. Starting pay, McDonald's, $22 an hour. That doesn't equate to a man who works really hard in Texas and he only gets $8 an hour. I don't understand the rationality behind that. Or our farmers are struggling, or people struggling. But I need to stay focused on the child protection system. So please, tell me about your case from the beginning to end when you text in a message. You only have to do it once. Now, another way of participating on this live stream is to be a guest. All you have to do is email our show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com. She works behind the scenes, and she does her best to help support me, and I want to appreciate her and thank her. Now, you just put the day and the time you want to be on a show. Now, there's 14 shows to pick from. All you say is, well, on Bob's Sunday morning show, on Bob's Friday night show. That's all you have to say. And she'll send you a link that you put into your browser. You copy and paste. And the link will take you to a YouTube channel. One or two. My morning show is Fight CPS with Bob Pace. My evening show is Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. And we'll take it to SteamYard, which is the application I use. SteamYard. Now, when you are a guest, you can take up to 9 of you. That means with me is 10, and you'll be able to talk and listen and see and help one another about the CPS case. Now, if you want to talk right now, and I'd love to have you call in because I'd rather have you all talk than me talk. Please call me. That's Bob Pace at 626-698-0990. And that's my office number. And I'll gladly answer your call between the hours I do my live stream. Now, I also do calls from 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock before my live stream on weekdays. And from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock during Monday through Friday. What I do there is that I call potential people with expressing interest in hiring my attorney who produces this live stream. Vincent W. Davis is my lawyer that I found and I hired. I've been working for him for 10 years, I think it is, or see, well, I've known him from 2015 to 2020 to 25. That's 10 years. 10 years that I've been working for Vincent Davis. And when I make these calls, I try to help other people understand why the importance of hiring an attorney and importance to have an attorney to represent you, navigate you through a very hard, difficult CPS. CPS is just like doing open heart surgery. Open heart surgery requires a special kind of individual, a doctor who's fairly well trained. That's what you need here is an attorney. And Vincent has 39 years of fighting CPS and getting back thousands of children. Further, he was once a foster kid himself, so he knows about the foster system. And he's also a trial attorney. He can do trials. Further, he also can do lawsuits, civil rights lawsuits against your civil rights and your constitutional rights were violated. That's where most of the cases are. He has won millions of dollars against CPS. He's one of the few attorneys I know that will fight CPS. Most attorneys shy away from it, or they take you for a trip where they waste your money. You know, that's the sad part. You guys are struggling, and $1 to you is like $100 to other people. I mean, it's like the food is so high. There's a lot of reasons why it is. Hopefully, the food will come down. Now, I just noticed yesterday, for the first time in almost a year, eggs have dropped from $10 a carton to 5. So there has been a decrease in the eggs. But bananas still keep going up. Milk is still keep going up. Lettuce, things that every day, I do all the shopping, so I see every day the pricing. Gasoline has now dropped the third time in the last couple of months. Hopefully it stays on a downward trend. It's now below $4 a gallon for the lowest gas I can find. I want to thank the emoji from Christina Reynoso. And I know you're sad because I haven't taken my time to write you an email about my grievances, and I will do it, Christina. My life outside of this live stream is very complex, and I too am fighting a very hard battle. If you can picture a sand cone, that's me inside the sand cone or quicksand, trying to crawl out of what's sucking me down. It is a lot of emotions. People on here are hurt by the loss of their children. I still am hurt. My downward trend in my life started in 2010. That's over 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I was on top of the world. I had my forever home. I lived less than a mile to the beach. And I had 3 beautiful young children that I was raising. Now, my older children, the other 3, are with families, but they've distanced themselves since 2015, which is sad to say. That sometimes people believe in rumors or falsified things. And that's one of the things that we fight is family members hurting one another. There's a girl named Felicia in Ventura County. And thank you, Christina. Thank you. I know you're listening to me. Christina Reynoso is a remarkable lady from Las Vegas, Nevada, who's gone through some horrible, horrible times. She's very intelligent, but she has some bad physical pain and suffering. I note that she's articulate because she sent me a lot of emails with a project she's working on in genealogy. And she's investigating her side of her family that has a long history of Hispanic roots. I guess Portuguese roots, I don't know. She mentions Christopher Columbus. Now, I thought Christopher Columbus was from Spain, but then I sometimes hear he's Portuguese. I don't know. All I know that when I was growing up in school, he was supposedly the guy you're supposed to celebrate because he found the New World. Well, he never did. It was just proven he got as far as the Caribbeans. And the indigenous people, he called them Indians, thinking he was in India. That's where the Native Americans got the word Indian from. It's from Christopher Columbus. I mean, that's one thing you say, but he was a terrible explorer because he pillaged the people. He took advantage of the people, did unmistakable bad things to them. I'm talking about raping the women, and it's horrible. You know, that's the sad thing about it is that wars and explorations bring out the worst of men. I mean, all you have to look at it. And our children have been abused forever. I mean, our history goes back there's the history of the children's welfare is divided into 3 parts from 1600 in the colonial days to 1875 to 1875 to 1962 and 1962 to the present. That's the way that CPS designated the history of the child welfare program. In the 1600s, there are cases of children being abused, and we did something about it, but it was far and few. It was no organization then. In 1875 was a turning point for several things. In New York, we started rescuing our children that were on the streets of New York. I don't know if any of you remember the play Annie or the movie Annie, but that was about an orphan child in that time period in the 1870s. But in 1875, a very wealthy group of individuals with their money stepped in and tried to do something about the homeless children, about these children that didn't have mothers and fathers. There are other isolated incidents also that were happening. Another one is a major turning point in our country is the Native American Indians, the first immigrants to our country, were rounded up and put on reservations. The last Indian battle ever fought was won by the Indians when Chief Crazy Horse, defeated General Armstrong Custer, a Civil War veteran and somebody that has done some atrocities. You know, it's sad that the native indigenous people had to fight for their land because they're here first. President Grant tried to help out, but the children were rounded up in 1875, put into put into private schools where their hair was cut, their culture was suppressed, they couldn't speak the language, they couldn't practice their ways, even the food they ate was changed. There's a lot of atrocities that have happened, especially with our children. All you have to do is the same thing happened in the 1700s earlier with the Polynesian people. You see, it's interesting how people that say they're civilized and intelligent do uncivilized acts. The Polynesians were abused throughout the Pacific Islands. I guess that started back with Cook. Again, these explorers would rape women. I don't understand that at all. Why it gives them a right. It's happened right now that children are being raped in Ukraine by the Russian soldiers. And the Russian soldiers are raping old women, women that survived the Holocaust, that were young children when the group of individuals during World War II, primarily the Jews, were murdered and tortured. The whole thing is repeated again. And most of the world looks at Putin and says, all right, that's great, you can do it. It's funny the other day when there was a retaliation by Putin against Ukraine for Ukraine hitting military targets. You know what they do? They kill innocent women and children and destroy apartment buildings. You would think a country that supposedly says they're great would know the difference between a jet fighter, a tank, or somebody's home, their apartment, or women that are having babies in a hospital. With the Soviet, I keep saying Soviet. You see, it is a complex world out there. There's no question that children in the United States are being abused, not only by bad parents, I know that happens, but also by the system that's supposed to protect them. The child protection system is abusing our children. They are abusing our children through foster care and stuff. I know firsthand. I had 3 children that were abused in foster care. My son was hit in the back of the head many times because he refused to take confession from a layperson. He'd only take it from the priest and only in his mouth, not in his hands. Now, I'm not here to talk about religion practices. I'm definitely not an advocate of the Catholic Church because it's so structured, so regimentedly, and children are being abused. That's sad. They force men who are priests or women to be celibate. And the sad thing is our society, since the dawn of mankind, was supposed to go out and procreate and make children in the world. Anyway, I am a devout Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ, who's actually God. They're one of the same people. A lot of times people didn't realize this. I didn't know. I learned that a couple of months ago, that God and Jesus are the same. It makes a lot of sense. And the Bible is a beautiful book because I've started to read it again and again. I've been reading it for a long time. I've been trying to find religion for a long time because you need faith with your children. You need faith. And we are all struggling here. We come into this room and we look for answers. And I may not have the answers, but I do know I'm doing good. I do know I'm doing good. And hello, Dorothy Cook. Thank you for listening. Because a lot of you are very caught up in this troubled world. We have a change now that I think will be for the better. Right now, it's a difficult change. Our new government, at the helm of our new government, is not taking a salary. He's not looking at this as a business opportunity. It's hell where if you're at the helm of the United States. There is so much abuse and no respect at all. Even a businessman, a good businessman, who has invented the first rocket to be reusable rocket, who has electric cars as another form of energy, and a satellite that's very complex that in the private industry is selling it to other countries to help them. It helps out Ukraine. Anyway, there's an organization called Doge, D-O-G-E, and I think it will help you. The other day, I experienced Doge for the first time. I've been talking to you guys for months. The Department of Government Efficiency. It's one of the first things that our president started his administration. One of his campaign pledges was do something about called wasteful government. It's wasteful. Social services has been wasting the money. And I was talking to social services. And unfortunately, my income is so low that I'm trying to get assistance to feed my family. You see, I'm 75 years old and I still have a young family. I need to take care of them. I need to take care of my wife, who's going through so much. I finally got medical. I've been fighting for 2 years for medical. Supposedly, with my retirement, which I get in dribbles, that it was too much money. So when they gave you a raise, a little bit of raise, they dropped my medical. They still kept my food coming, but the food was dropped also. But when I was talking to them, the same social services that takes care of our children, masquerade and whatever it being, the workers. This worker, for the first time, spoke English. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong about speaking your native tongue, but the majority of the social workers have, employed people that don't speak the language. I mean, it's sad that I go down there to social services and stand in line, and it used to be the line in a room with a chair. Now you have to stand outside in the hot sun, and you have people from third world countries carrying signs that say in different languages what you're there for. They got a job. That's right, they offer jobs. You see, people in the world are not afraid to work, and they're not afraid to work for peanuts. I admire people from around the world. The world is a cosmetology of beautiful people and beautiful families. But this social services is so corrupt. Anyway, this person was doing an interview of me, which I thought was great. I also noticed I was getting all these packets and letters for the first time. They're trying to turn around because why? Social services being investigated. And so far, the person that was hired to administrate, by the way, he didn't quit. His time was up. He only had to May 31st. When you are appointed person in this position, the law states you cannot work longer than 130 days. And he's worked with no salary, the richest man in the world. And because he's rich, a lot of people are jealous. So jealous that he's giving away $1 million checks to people. He tried to help out and back in politics, but he found out that even all the money in the world cannot buy people. We still have a very good democratic system here. Anybody can be president. Anybody can do a lot of things there. Yes, there is criteria. You have to be a citizen, or you have to be born and naturalized in the United States or one of its territories. There's been people talked about that are not qualified, like our former President Obama, or even McCain was thought that he wasn't a U.S. citizen. Now, McCain was a man that gave his life so much that he was in prison for a long time. There's a lot of good people in our country, but right now the social work, social things are bad, and so is the Department of, our CPS system is corrupt. I know because of the director. I met with the director. That was the Orange County Social Services in Orange County, California. That was headed up by a guy that his office building looked like the Taj Mahal of India. Or better yet, the Emerald City of Oz, the green Emerald City of Oz. It was so much green and so much gaudiness. You walk in the door and it was like full on gaudiness. When you know that children are being abused and the system is corrupt, and children go to sleep with no food, and there are parents that abuse these children, why does the director need that kind of lifestyle? Somehow we have some really weird people that think that money's the answer. It isn't. I live in a very mixed state. It's one of the biggest immigration of people want to come here to California. More people come into California than through any other state. More people from other states come to California. California has gotten so out of hand, it's unbelievable. It's wall to wall people from Santa Barbara to San Diego. It used to have pockets of open space, but it's not. The home prices where I live now have gone to $500,000 to $1 million for the cheapest home in Orange County. Okay, thank you, Christina. Christina is talking to Dorothy Cook, who is a mother from North Carolina. You people have come in here and acquainted one another. My prayers and thoughts go out to Faye Manley, who used to help me a lot on this show, who I feel doesn't have much time to live now because her liver is failing and other parts of her organ. She was a special mother who as a child, had a horrible lifestyle, was brought up in foster care and abused and tortured. She had to stand on rocks in her bare feet as a child or be raped so that other children would not be raped. She was trafficking. Anyway, she's from Richmond, Kentucky. Her name is Faye Manley. And she would do anything to help out. The Richmond, Kentucky area is bad. And she pointed out case after case. And the governor does nothing. In fact, right now it's really hard. It's really, 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 really hard. Now, I've digressed a little bit because no one is asking me any questions or calling in. And so what I've done is that I've talked a lot about our children because that's the main thing we're here for, is to take care of our children. Everybody that comes to my room wants a family and they can love their children and be with their children. There's nothing wrong with that. But we should have a government entity that recognizes it, not take parents apart. They really should be sincere about keeping the family together because the best parents, studies have shown time and time again, are the biological parents. And if they have a mistake of taking care of their child, it can be corrected. Ones that are completely abusive need to go to jail. I'm not for the parents that abuse children or neglect children. There are horror stories. There's a lady in Ohio that left her child, 14-month-old child, alone for a week to survive in one of those little chairs you sit in those bouncy chairs with activities around the table. She was left a sippy cup. That's all she had for a week. She died, of course, from lack of water and starvation. And she sat in her diapers for a week. They were full of maggots. I could go into details, but it was a horrible story. The mother was brought to court and she was prosecuted. And she's pronounced guilty. I don't know how much time she's serving. But she asked, what happened to my child? She was on vacation in Puerto Rico. So there is bad cases of child abuse. There's no question about that. And we do need an agency. Now, I know a fine lady who's passed away in Georgia. She was a senator, 75. She was murdered. Nancy Schaefer is her name. She is an advocate of protect our children from the agency is supposed to protect our children. She was against CPS. She wanted it abolished. She was raised in all kinds of cane. So somebody within the organizations decided to eliminate her. It bothers me at times because I talk so negative. Hello, Tony the Tiger. I'm glad you're checking in. Tony is Cassandra from Ostanego, New York. She has a son that she can't see or visit. She has a horrible case. And good morning, Felicia. She is Cruel from Ventura County, and she lives in Oxnard, and she has a family. She has a home she's trying to keep, and her brother has turned against her and trying to make up false allegations. And her mother is the one that owns the home, but her mother is missing. She's not seen her mother since November. So there's bad things going on, and I guess the Ventura CPS is very corrupt. But anyway, I'm glad to see you, Cruel, and Tony, and Christina, and Dorothy. I know you're not in the room, but you're in the room, but you're doing the emojis. That's how I found you. And I got a thumbs up from Dorothy Cook. Thank you. I love emojis. Now, Cassandra, Tony the Tiger from New York says, my son, I don't know where, supposedly he went to Buffalo, a 4-hour trip took them 15 to 16 hours to get there and back. They made a pit stop in Darby, Pennsylvania for what I don't know. It is so sad how the child protection system abuses children. And Felicia's let me know that she has an eviction court hearing tomorrow. Please, I pray that it goes the right way. I don't know if you have representation, but you can't lose that home. That's the home you're living in. And your babies need to come back to your home. And your mother needs to come back home. Christina's trying to find Tony the tiger. Uh, Tony can contact you. I mean, I have her number, but I don't give out numbers or addresses unless it's permission of both people. I know you guys can find each other on YouTube or Facebook. But right now we have about 7 more minutes. I'm going to go. I have 2 times, by the way. My time is from 8 in the morning to 9 o'clock, but it shows it's 9:10, so I'm running 10 minutes late, and it shows me I have 7 minutes on the running clock. I don't know if my running clock or the time clock, which was the time. But I want to give you guys a full 1 hour because I care enough about you. I really do. And I'm so glad to see my family, Christina and Tony, Dorothy Cook and Cruel. I can't forget Betty Joe or Faye Mandalay over the other 30 or 40 people that come here regularly. Like David from Santa Maria, or the gentleman from Los Angeles that comes in here. It's a lot of times it's hard to remember all the names. Well, Cruel, that's thing there, but I don't know if $175 will get you a good attorney. I don't know. Yes, I'll be on tonight at 7 p.m. That is the West Coast time. That's Pacific Standard Time. It's okay. I'm going to go to church. That's why I do my show early in the morning. I'm glad you guys go to church and pray to God because prayers do work. Prayers do work. And you need to pray a lot to get you through this. You guys should all know God. I'm not on here to advocate any kind of religious structure, but one thing you should have is that you should believe in God. God and the 10 Commandments in the Bible is all you need to be a good Christian. Is to follow the Bible and the 10 Commandments and pray to God. And he will come again. There's no question he will come again. He will come again. So by believing in God, of course, the Son of God, who is God himself when he came down to earth, you're called Christians. That's all there has to be. I'm not against organized religion. My wife is devout Catholic. She is extreme devout Catholic. And my children are raised as Catholics, but one of my children is finding another religion that is better suited, which is fine. He's over the age. He's 25 now. But anyway, yes, I understand. I like to close with a thought in your head. Think of a pair of railroad tracks. Railroad tracks have 2 rails with beams connecting them. Now, the left track I call the circle of life. I got that from The Lion King, whose father talked to his son about the circle of life. How we start out helplessly, We go through life, and some have big circles and small circles. But then we come to the end of our life, we're dependent again, where we aren't able to take care of ourselves. But it's important that you do good things in life to one another. Those are what the wooden ties that connect the right rail. Now, this is something that I've come up with. No one's taught me this. But the good things in life are your timbers that connect the left rail to the right rail. And what the right rail represents is your goal to go to heaven, to repent your sins and see God someday. That is your goal. And so every time you get a timber to the right rail, you're on another avenue of getting there to see God. But you need to repent your sins. And you need to reach that railing, that goal of heaven. So don't forget that. Also, all of you, keep fighting for your children and for your families. Respect one another. Do something good every day. You know, I'm a Boy Scout, still have been a Boy Scout. I'm an adult leader. I mean, I have over 50 years of dedication of my time to the Boy Scouts of America or the scouting program. Maybe it's one of my things I do in my life because I also have given over 50 years to the American Red Cross. Volunteer time. Talk about Boy Scouts in there. I never made a dime off those two organizations. There's other organizations that I've been a part of. I had 25 years with surfing organizations, given my time as a contest director, administrator, and a competitor. And if that didn't keep me busy enough, I've done the Long Beach Grand Prix for 50 years. Dedicate my time to the Committee of 300, a volunteer group. So I've had at least 4 volunteer organizations. I've also been a volunteer in the American Youth Soccer Organization, AYSO, as an intermediate ref, a soccer ref. And that helped me keep up my physicality because I still in the ocean. And so this morning, the ocean was calm. It was still hard to see because it's still twilight at 4 a.m., but the surf wasn't up. So I'm back here anyway. But I want to end on a happy thought. I want you all to still fight for your children. Don't give up, no matter how bad it looks. Don't give up, Cruel. You're going to win your case in eviction. You can win your case in eviction. In fact, Cruel, you may try filing a chapter, but it's too late. Bankruptcy chapter will give you additional time with your home before eviction. If you're in the process of bankruptcy in your home, it's your own there, but your mother would have to file the bankruptcy, not you, Cruel. So I don't know if that would help you or not. I do have a lot of life skills to give you guys, and one day maybe I'll do a YouTube video on life skills. There's a lot of them out there. But God bless you all. Thank you for coming to my room. Thank you, Christina Reynosa from Nevada. Thank you, Tony the Tiger from New York. Thank you, Cruel Trick from California. And thank you, Dorothy Cook from North Carolina. I know your name's not here, but I know you're in the background. And thank you to all the ones that are listening here. So God bless you all. Keep fighting for your children. Don't give up. And listen to an important message from my attorney, Vincent W. Davis. And with that, I'll see you tonight at 7 a.m. Excuse me, 7 p.m. tonight. 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against it, it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the